talk to you about discouragement. Everybody say discouragement. Discouragement is a very, very, very dangerous thing. And one of the reasons why discouragement is very dangerous is that God don't use or can use discouraged people. Few reasons. Number one reason, discouragement is the opposite of courage. And courage is not the absence of fear, but the capacity to take action despite one's fear in order to have a good outcome in life. I'm afraid, and I know fear is present with me, but I ignore the fear and I take action despite my fears. Whenever you are discouraged, you attract a suicidal spirit. Discouragement attracts suicidal spirits. Whenever you are discouraged, you kill hope. You kill your hope. When you see people discouraged, they say things they must not say. I wish I died. And when a child provokes parents and they are discouraged about a particular child, sometimes you hear a father or a mother say, I wish this child died. That is a self-imposed curse. And the reason is because the devil can't curse you, so he has to discourage you, so you open your mouth and curse yourself. And please understand that discouragement is the last weapon Satan deploys against you before the manifestation of the promise of God for your life. It's the last weapon that will hit you before you enter the promised land. Discouragement. It's a very dangerous thing. You cannot be discouraged. Somebody say, I refuse to be discouraged. Because whenever you are discouraged, you miscarry. Whenever you are discouraged, you miscarry. And most times, you are discouraged at Kairos times in your life. Just when you are so close to a major miracle, the enemy takes your eyes from God and sets your eyes on your immediate surroundings and your circumstances. And you begin to see from the natural. And you run into trouble. And that is the only way the devil can abort what you are carrying. Touch your stomach and say, I'm carrying something heavy. Come with me to Genesis 18, 12 to 15. Let's look at Sarah. Let's look at certain individuals who, when they were discouraged, what they did. Sarah had waited for 24 years and 1 year to the manifestation of the promise. She was so discouraged that she miscarried. And God had to overlook her action because of the husband and the commitment he has made. Other than that, the promise would have been aborted. She was so discouraged that she started to mock God. She mocked God in her heart. Look at it. Read.
Therefore Sarah laughed within herself, saying,
That word she laughed within herself was a mockery. See, I refuse to mock God. See, I refuse to mock God. See, I rebuke every form of mockery. Go ahead.
She said, after I am waxed old, shall I have pleasure?
So you are looking at your immediate situation and the condition of your physical body. Go ahead.
My Lord being old also.
And my husband is also old. And in those days, they didn't have Viagra. Look at all these spiritual holy angels. You're all in the spirit. Help me, Lord. Teach me how to speak to angels, Lord. Go ahead.
And the Lord said unto Abraham, wherefore did Sarah laugh, saying,
wherefore
shall I of a surety bear a child?
She laughed in her heart, and God picked it. Go ahead.
So wherefore did Sarah laugh, saying, shall I of a surety bear a child which am old? Is anything too hard for the Lord? At the time appointed, I will return unto thee, according to the time of life, and Sarah shall have a son. Then Sarah denied, saying, I laughed not, for she was afraid. And he said, nay, but thou didst laugh.
You see? But hear me. Sometimes God will overlook it. But in certain instances, he doesn't overlook. But in this situation, even though she mocked God in her heart, for the sake of Abraham and his relationship with God, he overlooked it. Come to Luke chapter 1. See something here. I want to examine certain people, what they did when they were discouraged. Luke chapter 1, 18 to 20.
And Zacharias said unto the angel, whereby shall I know this? For I am an old man, and my wife well stricken in years. And the angel answering said unto him, I am Gabriel, that stand in the presence of God, and am sent to speak unto thee and to show thee these glad tidings. And behold, thou shalt be dumb, and not be able to speak, until the day that these things shall be performed, because thou believest not my words, which shall be fulfilled in their season.
Look at me. Everybody say season. Say appointed time. You see, the problem here is, watch this, I want to say some very strong things here. There is an appointed time and a season for everything. When a woman takes a seed, when a man sows a seed into the womb of a woman, it takes 9 months, 40 weeks for the child to be well matured and ready and prepared to come. If at the 4th month of the pregnancy she begins to bleed, it endangers what she's carrying. And so the doctor, sometimes they will even sow the womb of some of the women. And the doctor will say, I need you to be bedridden. I need you to stay in bed. You can't move. You have to lie down in a particular way. You do this, you do that. If the woman goes against those instructions and orders, chances are that she will miscarry. She can have the baby before the time, and if you had the baby before the time, the baby is not ready and well developed to be a proper human being. In the spirit realm, it's the same. All truth is parallel. And there are so many of us, we are carrying heavy spiritual destinies in our wombs, and we are not following instructions. So we keep miscarrying, and then we go for another pregnancy, and then we miscarry. So spiritually, a lot of you have miscarried several times because you're not following instructions. And that's why I'm giving you this message. Because anytime you are discouraged, you miscarry. And he was so discouraged that when the angel of the Lord that stands before Elohim appeared from the presence of God, came out of time into eternity, from eternity into time, and proclaimed that that which you have waited for all these years has come to pass. Look at Proverbs chapter 6 verse 2.
Thou art snared with the words of thy mouth.
By someone's words?
No.
By whose words?
Your own words.
Turn to somebody and say, be careful about what you say when you are discouraged. Be careful. Tell somebody, be careful, careful about what you say whenever you are discouraged. Thou art what? Snared.
With the words of thy
mouth, and thou art what? Taken
with the words of thy mouth.
What you say. So Satan can't say some things against you, so he needs you to say it yourself. And the way he gets you to say it is to discourage you. And hear me, discouragement is the trusted weapon of the enemy, and is the last weapon he deploys. Just before you enter your promised land, he will send a spirit of discouragement, and you'll be so discouraged about everything. Now, hear me. Betrayal can discourage you. When you trust somebody with your secret and they betray you, you can be discouraged. Scandal, stigma. And when your fault or your iniquity is uncovered and it brings public ridicule and people begin to see you different from the way they've always seen you, you can be discouraged. And whenever you are discouraged, you miscarry. So sometimes the devil can set you up for you to talk. You see, the reason why the angel shut him up and said, this is a secret that must not be revealed. Nobody must know in town except those who are connected to it. So Zacharias, we are not going to permit you to speak until the promise comes to pass, because you can abort your own prophecy by talking to the wrong people, like Eve talked to the serpent. You can abort your prophecy by trying to explain things. The angel said, you, Zacharias, you won't talk. Children of Israel went through Jericho 6 days. Each day, God said, march across the walls of Jericho. Say nothing. What do you think they were feeling? And how did their people, their enemies saw them just going around the wall? God said, say nothing. Until the 7th day, God said, go around it 6 times. And then on the 7th time, shout. If God had given them the master plan before the 7th day, they would have aborted the whole thing. Hear me. Serving God and walking with God don't make sense. God is more interested in your availability than in your abilities. Gideon was so discouraged about everything that was going on that he sat down, means he resigned life. And an angel of the Lord was sent to him and said, thou mighty man of valor, God is depending on you to bring deliverance to your family and your nation. And Gideon said, forget it. My family is the poorest of the poor in Manasseh. The poor call us poor, and I'm the least among all my father's children. How then can God use me? When you are discouraged, you look at yourself and your environment and you are down. And remember, whenever you are discouraged, one of the signs of discouragement is that you attract a suicidal spirit. And you now begin to wish to die. Now, death is not something you must wish for because it wants you already. Let's move on because of time. Let's look at another situation here. Let's look at David. Let's look at David. In Psalm 55. In Psalm 55, verse 6.
And I said, oh, that I had wings like a dove, for then would I fly away and be at rest.
You see, this is a king. This is a great warrior. King David. The one that conquered nations and slew kings and Goliath. He was so discouraged in life about everything that he said, oh, that I may have the wings of a dove, and I'll fly away somewhere, away from everybody, and rest. David, King David, wanted the wings of a dove, not an eagle, but a dove. Peace. He was so much discouraged about everything that he said, you know what I want? I want peace. Let's go to 1 Kings 19 and 4. Let's look at 1 Kings 19 and 4. Look at Elijah here. I want you to look at me. You see, this was after he called fire from heaven. This was after he destroyed over 400 prophets of Baal and did some tremendous work for God. It was after that high altitude of victory that he came down to the lowest pit in life. Now, hear me now. Watch me. Anytime you do well in life, anytime you break through, anytime you are very happy and you succeeded big time, the next thing you must be careful of is discouragement. Because the enemy couldn't stop the blessing. So what he's trying to do is to take the joy out of the blessing that has come. He couldn't stop the blessing, so he must take the joy out of the blessing and get you yourself to destroy the blessing through discouragement. Go ahead.
But he himself went a day's journey into the wilderness and came and sat down under a juniper tree. And he requested for himself that he might die and said,
He what?
He requested of himself that he might die.
He what?
he requested for himself that he might die.
After you have destroyed 400 prophets of Baal, called fire from heaven, performed such a great work, his fame was all over the place. He was the hottest and biggest things in town. In the midst of all that, he requested to die. Now watch this. Immediately after, if you study the scriptures carefully, immediately after this event, the next thing you saw, God sent an angel, feed him, get him out of here, because God cannot use discouraged people. And when discouragement comes, the next sign you see is transition. Elijah had to hand over to Elisha and leave the scene. He died. He had to hand over to Elisha and go into heaven. And he's still there. Discouragement. From a message from Jezebel. Jezebel sent a message to him. And for the first time, that whole prophet that called fire from heaven forgot himself that he had power to call fire from heaven to destroy Jezebel. He was so discouraged that he gave up and said, I am tired. Hey, Tommy, my breath. The greatest glory in life is not the fact that you have never fallen before, but rather is the many times you fell and you got up again. Do you hear what I said? He said, the greatest glory in life is not the fact that you haven't fallen before, but it's the fact that you have fallen many times, but you didn't stay down. You rose up again. Another quote of Nelson Mandela. He said, bravery or a brave man is not one that don't feel fear, but one that feels fear and yet has the capacity to conquer the fear he feels. So bravely is not that I don't feel fear. I feel fear and I get afraid sometimes, but I still, with the fear I feel, have the capacity to conquer the fear I feel. Somebody lift up your hands and shout, yes! President Richard Nixon said, and I quote, a man is not finished when he fails, but a man is finished when he quits. And I say, by Archbishop Duncan-Williams, a man is not finished when he falls, but the man is finished when he stays there. So rise up from where you are falling. Rise from where you are falling. Shout yes. Hear me. Sir Winston Churchill said, a sign of greatness or the true sign of success is one that moves from failure to failure and still maintain confidence. Are you hearing me, somebody? Say yes. Say yes. Say yes. Tell somebody, I know I'm going through some stuff right now. But mind your own business. Mind your own business. Because everybody is going through something. Hear me. Sir Winston Churchill was drunk. And a woman saw him and said, Prime Minister, you are drunk. And he said, I know I'm drunk. I will be fine in the morning, but you still look ugly. You know what he's saying? He's telling the woman, I know my problem. Mind your own business. Are you hearing me, somebody? Everybody is dealing with something. Everybody has issues. Everybody is going through something. So when you fall, don't stay down there and tell everybody I have fallen. We know you are on the ground. Get up, get up, get up, get up. Stand on your feet and say, get up, get up, get up. Get up financially. Get up spiritually. Get up, get up, get up, get up. Sorry. Tashi. Tashi ya Yesu ba me. Sorry what Yesu di. Get up. You've been down for too long. Everybody knows in town you are down. Get up. Listen. A true story. A man in America. He was wearing a white hat, a white shoe, a white tie, a white shirt, and a white suit, and a white and gold walking stick. And he was walking on an elevator like this. And he tripped and he fell. And everybody was looking at him, and he was down on the floor. He just took his walking stick, put on his hat, and he said, who cares? Look at somebody and say, who cares? And take a walk. Take a walk. Somebody take a walk. Take a walk. Just take a walk. Take a walk. Take a walk.